So here we go. Today, I am being joined by Mrs. Redmond. She is a kindergarten teacher at Beartooth Elementary School. Nicole, thank you so much for jumping on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So again, we're just gonna be real candid, just an honest conversation uh, about teaching and what we love about this profession. So I'm going to start off with the same question I've asked everybody so far. Just what drove you to jumping into this teaching profession? What inspired you? Why are you a teacher?
Well, I've been that person that since I was very little wanted to be a teacher. I remember probably kindergarten age. Honestly, I was playing school all the time. My mom owned a daycare that she operated out of our home. And so I had all my little students that were in her daycare and we
Oh,
would play
nice.
school. So it's just been since I have been little. And then as I grew up and kind of did more of that in high school, I actually started to wonder have I just always wanted to do this, or is it really a passion and really something I want to do for my career? And so I started doing some Big Brothers Big Sisters things in high school and went into the classroom doing that sort of thing and loved it. And then in college, really felt like it was definitely what I was meant to do. So
Very cool. Did you have a teacher somewhere along the way that that you remember, like that one teacher, or even a couple teachers that stand out in your mind when you think back to your own schooling?
I actually have so many. I think there's just several that do stand out for sure. My kindergarten teacher is just the sweetest person. I still remember her, Mrs. Lundhagen. And I think truly that's probably where it started. She did a lot of singing and was just that very loving, caring person. And I know that's where it started for me. But I had another teacher, Mr. Carlson, and he was just fun and funny. And I think that through those different relationships with all of my teachers, it's kind of molded me into who I am as a teacher. But yeah, there's so many teachers. I really couldn't list all of them, but those two definitely stand out for me.
That's awesome. A couple of shout outs to those teachers on here, right? Um, so you mentioned your mom had a daycare and
Yes.
you grew up kind of in the daycare, teaching all the kids and doing all that.
Mhm.
Was there a certain point when you realized that, yeah, I think I want to do this teaching thing? Was it not till college, or was it back earlier?
Oh gosh, no, I think it was when I was really little. Like there was no other thought. Like I was never that kid that kind of just kept changing things. Like when someone asked me
Okay.
what I wanted to be, it was a teacher. And I think in high school, that's the point that I really started to get serious and think, is this really what I've just always said, or is this really what it's going to be? And so that's when, for me, I got more serious in thinking about that and just making sure that it really was what I wanted to do, because it's not something I took lightly. And so it always was what I wanted to do. But in college and through those experiences, through junior field and those connections, I guess that was where, I mean, I had always known, but that just solidified it for me.
Right. Nice. So coming up through teachers college, getting into the classroom, you've always done kindergarten, correct?
I have. Yep. So I student taught. I did junior field in fourth and student taught in fourth. And then I was hired in kindergarten and I've taught that for 13 years now.
Wow. Okay. So let's get real for a second, because all of my stuff, my undergrad stuff, was all early childhood. And so when I got my first teaching job, it was first grade. I loved it. It was right up my wheelhouse. Like, yes, I love it. And then they told me I was going to fifth grade the next year. And I
Hmm.
was freaked out. I was like, fifth graders? Oh my gosh, no way. I don't think I could do this. Everything was little kids. Um,
Yes.
and there's kind of that, it's somewhat of a, I don't know if I'd call it a myth or a misconception, but there's also a lot of reality to the fact that kindergarten teachers oftentimes, like, they would never want to go up and teach the older kids because, oh my gosh, they're so big and what would I do? And the teachers in the older grades look at you guys as, oh my gosh, there's no way I could do kindergarten. Those kindergarten teachers are angels. They are saints. They are incredible. Like, bow down to you guys. And you've always done kindergarten. So
Mhm.
what is it that draws you towards the youngest of our students?
Oh gosh. So similar to your story, actually, after doing junior field and then student teaching in fourth, when I was hired in kindergarten, I kind of had that moment of panic. And it was odd because growing up with my mom doing the preschool, there was kind of a
Yeah.
daycare component. And I actually did some preschool stuff for her. And so had that early childhood experience and loved it. But then my experiences with fourth grade drew me into that. And I loved that they were still sweet and innocent, but they were very independent. And I really enjoyed that age. So when I was hired in kindergarten, I was scared. Like, it was weird because I felt like I had gotten used to those bigger kids. And now to think about moving up, even like first or second grade, I just wonder sometimes. I'm like, oh gosh, I know I would love it, but I feel that I'm truly meant to be in kindergarten. It's just my passion and my heart. And in my move over to Beartooth, actually, there was some possibility maybe that I might not stay in kindergarten. And as I did my transfer, and that made me nervous because I loved it so much. And so I'm thankful to still be here. I think being their first teacher is something truly magical. It's very special to me. And getting them kind of figuring out that school is fun, it's safe, it's exciting, and making that first really meaningful relationship with them at school is a huge magical thing for me.
That is so cool. And I love the fact you're saying that first relationship and making it magical and meaningful. And it's evident in everything you do in the classroom that is exactly what your goal is. Because, kindergarten's kind of become like the new first grade. People say that there's so many academics now that are going on in kindergarten. And sometimes our parents wonder, like, gosh, is this really what the kids should be doing? What about the play? What about that kind of stuff? And we know that the play is important, but what you mentioned about that meaningful relationship, what is it about that? Just dive into that a little bit more. What makes that so powerful for you?
So I think for me, and just through the years, I've figured out that, yeah, we can make lesson plans and we can have all of these educational goals, but without a relationship and a connection, it just isn't as meaningful. And it's also they're not going to be as powerful. And I think my impact is much greater when I have that relationship with them. They can learn, and also knowing that they're safe with me and they can be who they are, and that I can appreciate that and know them as individuals. And we just get so much more accomplished when we have that connection.
We can just drop the mic right there. That's awesome. You're exactly right. That's incredible. So we've been in this uncertain time, right? With school buildings being closed and kids being learning at home and doing the things that they're doing. What kind of things have you done to try to stay connected with your kids? How have you kept that connection alive? Because I know we're all missing it. We're missing the kids like crazy. How have you tried to stay connected?
So it has been a challenge. And I think it's been amazing for me to see my coworkers, my grade level partners, just to see what they're doing as well. So I feel like it's not just what I'm doing, it's what everybody is doing. And we all know that relationships are so huge. And I'm thankful that we had as much of the year together as we did, because we were able to already have those relationships in place and go from there. But to keep those things going, getting on Zoom, and there is definitely a wall, so to speak, when you are in a digital platform, but I still think it's so meaningful to see their faces and hear their laughter and to know that I'm still here. And they have the packet materials that I've sent out. They have the activities on Seesaw, and I'm doing videos as well. But to be able to interact and to have a conversation still, they love getting on and even showing me like little Lego creations that they've made and things like that. So just letting them be kids truly and seeing what their life is like now that we aren't in school together all the time. So that's been great. Also, we did May Day baskets, and we were able to stop by and keeping those things, just having that interaction regardless of what that looks like, but doing it in some way, shape, or form.
Okay, so you said Mayday baskets. You delivered Mayday baskets to their house?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So just kind of a little basket of goodies, things that they might enjoy, little treats. Goodness, I'm thinking what else was in there? A pencil, just trinket type things. But more so, it was about seeing them and dropping that off and letting them know that I'm still thinking about them, that they're important, and to still have fun. I think that was a really big thing. Is it could be easy to lose the fun in this. And when you're not in class every day, getting stressed out for them at home, but also for me. And so just to take a step back and go, okay, let's do those things that we normally would do. We would normally do May Day baskets. It just looked different.
Yeah. So you got a chance to go to their house, leave a basket, And I assume you like knock on the door and then back up, wait for the kids to answer. Did you get to see those kids?
Yes, I
What,
did.
what did that feel like? Because by May 1st, you'd done that for what, 7 weeks that we would have been out of school or something like that, or 6 weeks. So almost a month and a half, pushing 2 months. Well, I guess, yeah, a month and a half you would have been out. So tell me what that was like to see their faces, like in person versus on a screen.
Yes, it was so exciting. Actually, I didn't know how powerful it was going to be. So preparing that week before, getting the baskets ready. Also we made a flat teacher game board and a flat teacher activity. So we delivered that at the same time. But I had no idea how powerful it was going to be. I knew it would be fun and exciting for them and for me, but it was really powerful. And at the end of that day, I was exhausted. And I know I was talking to my colleagues, and so were they. It was just so exhausting in a way that we didn't expect. And I think just that excitement and kind of driving to that next house going, okay, what is this going to bring? And even though it was a brief, few minutes, it was huge for, I think, them, hopefully, as much as it was for me, because it was really cool.
I'm sure it was. And just watching your demeanor as you talk about these things, and I can see the way your head tilts and your eyes light up. Like, I'm seriously, like, it is just so, these are the things I love about doing these things, is you get to see some of these things with the teachers, and some of our, parents don't get the chance to see this side of it.
Yeah.
They see when you're there and they're like, oh, okay, yay, great, they're here. But to see this and like just how it impacted you, because of course we're trying to do this for the kids, but exactly. Let's be honest, it impacts us sometimes more probably than the kids, right?
Yes. Yeah, I needed it just as much as they did. My heart was overflowing at the end of that day.
Yep. I can't even imagine. I haven't asked this question, but I'm going to, just because we're talking about, I can see the enjoyment in your eyes and your smile and how you just light up. So let's get real just for 1 second. These last couple of questions I'll ask you. Has there been a time during this that I don't want to say broken down, but a time that you've cried because you just miss the kids or because your heart is heavy?
Oh gosh, yes. As much as I might not want to admit that, I'm a very soft-hearted person, and people that know me know that. And so my students make a lasting impact on me, and kind of not being able to finish out the year in the way that we're used to has been so hard. And knowing how they're impacted, seeing how their families are impacted, and then obviously it impacts me as well. And there have been so many moments. Noticing those kids that aren't on Seesaw and aren't doing those things, that was kind of my first realization of how much this is impacting them. And then as we've kind of gone on recently, my hardest moment was starting to get their materials ready for them to pick up in the next couple weeks. For me, that was, I think, the kind of that real black and white. I can't say this isn't happening anymore. I couldn't really kind of just tuck it aside and say, oh, it'll be okay.
It's real now, right?
Almost. And so to start getting their materials, their personal things packed up, that was for me the hardest moment this week.
Okay, and you and I were talking earlier, but it also brought you a lot of joy because you were talking about as you were emptying their pencil boxes and their personality shined. Just tell me a little bit about that, because I just thought that was incredible. Yeah. So tell me.
I'm actually kicking myself for not taking pictures just for myself. Just each kiddo, like, open up their little toolbox and get a picture of what their personality is. So it was so fun. Each kiddo had a toolbox with their name, pencils, all the basic school supplies. But in opening those up to package them for their pickup, I was realizing how their personalities were shown to me there. And so some of them had their crayons so neatly organized in the original Crayola box. Others, the box was shredded and the crayons were spilt. Some were broken. Some had little feathers they had found out on the playground and pebbles. Some had hair clips and toys. And so it was just really fun to see their different personalities. And it truly was very telling for each kid. I knew who it was, even if I hadn't known obviously where they were sitting or their name on there. I could tell you exactly whose personality was there. So that was, as much as it was sad, I actually did have to laugh in that moment in realizing how much that told me about who they are.
And and that's why I went back to that, because it also tells a lot about who you are, because being able to do something like that and and see their personality within a box of crayons and pencils and shavings, pencil shavings and all those things, to be able
Yeah.
to see their personality, that just shows the strong connection that you do have with your kids, and how well you know those kids. And I think that's just the coolest thing as you shared that with me today. My heart was like, oh, that is so cool that you see that, and that you can see their personality in that. Because sometimes, let's be honest, you just get busy and you start dumping things. Here's their stuff, put this here, do that, because you get so like checklist oriented, especially end of the year. There's so much to do. But to be able to open that and bring a smile to your face, that just speaks about your joy of teaching and your love for those kids and the connection that you do have that I know you're missing. So thank you for that. And thank you for being you. Thanks for blessing our school with your presence this year. It has been amazing.
I love it.
It's been awesome. And thanks for joining me on my little podcast here. It's certainly enjoyed having you. And to our parents and families, I'll try to come back next week with yet another guest and interview another teacher. And we'll say goodbye to Mrs. Redmond. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you all later. Awesome.